Good morning.
Hi, Susan. Ooh, hang on a second. Let me fix my
Yeah.
audio. Freya, come here. I apologize in advance. There's some unexpected activity on the street. There's a house being delivered this morning.
Oh my goodness, that's exciting.
Yeah, it is. And I found out about it last night.
Oh my goodness.
So my dog might be a little agitated when it goes by, but
It is what it is. We're being authentic then, right?
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for doing this today. I hope we have a good following. We may have to, if I may, I'm wondering about my links, like if this is the link that will bring everybody here, because I think that my event might have a different link, and I don't know if that matters.
Okay. Well,
So we'll figure that out. If in a few minutes nobody shows up, we'll switch over to a different link and I'll give it to you. So you want to, I don't know if you want to update me or tell me anything that's happening, or we just go with the flow.
I'm feeling prepared to talk about the subject matter at hand. I'm also open to whatever happens.
Yeah, same.
So it's all good.
Same. It's such a great topic, and I'm hoping that people will take advantage of it and show up. I ran a Q&A, and I'm glad now every week I have somebody coming to talk about their zone of genius, and I'm hoping that more people will show up, because I think everybody showed up for their Q&As the first couple of weeks, had their answers, got their answers to their questions, and then was like, well, I got my answer. I don't need to show up anymore. So now hopefully they'll have new things.
Cool.
Yeah. How's your summer going?
It's good. I'm having
Yeah.
fun. How about you?
Amazing.
Yeah.
I can't even believe where I live. Work-wise, a little bit of a challenge. I've had family in, and families here. You can't just go, yeah, here, take my keys, go to the beach. I'm like, I'll take you to the beach.
Right.
Take you kayaking. I'll take you everywhere. So it's been amazing, and work has just been happening to be on the back burner. But I do the little steps that I need to do what I need to move forward. But I'm missing the She Breathes community, though, I have to say.
Yeah, and it's always quieter in the summertime, I
Oh,
think.
yeah.
I know Jen realized last summer that it's really hard to get people to commit to things that are going on. So I think their schedule is just a little lighter anyway. So,
Right.
oh,
Right. But even still, there's things happening and being like, oh, if it didn't take me an hour and 10 minutes to get there, I
it's
would show Papa.
a long drive.
It is. And if I can bundle it, right? If I have a client and then I go visit my mom and then I do a She Breeze thing, then it's totally worth it.
Absolutely. Yeah, when Alec and I were looking at houses a bazillion years ago, we were looking at Westport. I fell in love with that area. I wanted to live down there. But both of us agreed that the commute was just too much because I can work anywhere, but he was
Yes.
in the city at the time, and he was just like, yeah, that's just not going to do it.
No. I'm going to check. I haven't been on Facebook for an hour. I want to see if anybody's left any questions for us. You didn't receive any questions, did you?
I didn't know.
It's a quiet time of the year.
It is. Lots of people away on vacation.
Yeah.
Having family in, like you said.
Right. Oh, let's see what Rachel says. Likes. All right. So hopefully Rachel Pintorelli is going to be able to show up. She has a day job. She's the marketing director for the Girl Scouts of America of Rhode Island.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Let's see if there's anything here. No questions. So we'll just go with the cause.
We have one.
Oh, good. Okay, so the link is working. Hello, Stephanie.
Oh.
Hello, Stephanie. I was hoping I had the right link up there, so I'm glad to see you here, Stephanie. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Look at how pretty it is behind you.
I can leap through the screen right now.
Oh, so pretty.
Thanks. Yeah, I didn't want to sit indoors. If I could sit outside, it's always my choice.
Same. My husband, so I have this great space up here in my loft, but my husband just recently put, we're building, right? So we have doorknobs now on all of the doors. There's 2, 4, 6, 8. So there's 4 sets of 2 doors. And so now I can prop all of the doors open. There's no screens though, so I have to hope my dog doesn't jump out. But I've just got the breezes coming in and all around my house. It's just kind of cool. And then like once in a while, fly or a wasp, I'm like, all right, find your way out the other door. But I'd love to introduce you to JD. This is Stephanie. Stephanie is the queen of connecting. I met her at a networking event. She goes to all the networking events. She puts out a weekly newsletter of all of the upcoming
Women's
networking things. So
yes.
she is a powerhouse of connecting.
Stephanie.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, JD.
Queens.
And Rachel just showed up. She's got her audio off, but maybe you can put something in the chat if you want to, Rachel. I know you're at work, so you have to be subtle.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be on mute most of this, but I wanted to make sure I tuned in, so I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. And I don't know if either of you ladies had questions you wanted JD to address, or maybe she does her spiel and then you will think of things while she's talking, but you can either jump in or put something in the chat at the bottom.
Okay, thank you.
Right there. Sure. We'll give people a few more minutes. So Rachel, why don't you introduce yourself before you can shut your audio off to JD and Stephanie, tell them where you're at.
Sure. I'm Rachel. Hi. And my day job, Director of Marketing Communications for Girl Scouts of Southeastern New England. But I am working on and had been wrestling with my own creation of my own freelance business or services, and went to originally thought it was going to be a digital marketing thing that I was going to do, support like that. And then I went to Arizona for a week and had an awakening and realized that I am a writer, and I've always been a writer, and content writing and copywriting is who I am and what I do. So I'm in the middle of rebranding and doing some online courses, and I finally feel closer to my authentic self.
Yeah. Let's hear it for authentic.
Awesome.
And Jody just arrived. I think Jody and Rachel had met at a previous call.
Yep.
Yes.
And Jody, you can give us the spiel about who you are, why you showed up in this space this morning. And I'm so glad you're here.
Hey, it's good to see you, Susan and Rachel, and nice to meet you, JD. I'm Jody Rosen. I'm here because I need to get out of my own way and show up and be who I am and feel confident in what I do. Actually, I feel confident in what I do, but confident in myself, and find a way to, if I end up going down a rabbit hole because life gets in my way, I need to find a quicker way to climb out. And what I do is I restore old photos and create photo books and make sure that people's stories don't get lost in the shuffle and are here for future generations.
She does amazing work. Amazing.
Oh, wow, that's great. Thank you so much, all of you, actually, for your introductions. It's always nice to get a sense of who I'm talking to. And I'm really excited to be here. Yeah, I have a feeling that once I dive into the material I'm going to share with you today, some other questions will probably pop up, as Susan mentioned. So Susan, do you want me to just kind of launch in? Where are we time-wise for you?
You know what? Do you think people and other people might show up? I don't want them to miss a minute of your goodness, of your juicy stuff.
And it looks like you're recording as well. So
I am recording so people can go back to the beginning. So, okay. Yeah. Hit it, JD.
Right. Well, thank you. First of all, I just want to say thank you very much to you, Susan, for inviting me. I adore you. I love what you're up to. I love that you're helping people bring their authentic selves into the online world, into the world at large. And I feel like the more of us that do that, the better our experience of the world becomes. And it was interesting. Actually, I also wanted to thank you guys for showing up, because I recognize that even in the summertime, schedules are full, and there's only so many hours in the day, and I appreciate you guys taking a half an hour out of yours to be in this conversation. Just before I launch into this, a show of hands, how many of you are introverts? Or do you identify as an extrovert?
I am definitely an introvert.
Any other introverts?
I'm an introvert living as an extrovert.
Okay, that often happens.
Susan, I think I've learned that I am an introvert, same as you. And when I show up, I'm an extrovert, but when I come home, I'm not.
All right. So it helps me to get a better sense of some of the experiences you might be having as you're building your businesses. So thank you for that. So where Susan is in the business of helping you rise above the noise in the online space, in the external world, my work with my coaching clients is all about helping them dive below the noise, because there's a lot of noise going on up here at any given time. I don't know exactly how it's phrased, but I've heard it a million times in one way or another. You know, my mind is a scary place to be. People say that all the time. And I think that's kind of a universal experience. So let's dive in, if we will, then, and take a little bit of a closer look of what's actually happening inside of us as we're trying to bring our authentic selves into the world, into our businesses, and show up really fully expressed and connecting with people, doing the things that we love to do and sharing the gifts that we're meant to share. There are three basic drivers for human beings. So where all of us are very unique and different in many ways, there are always three things that are moving us forward in the world. And those basic needs are love, safety, and belonging. So regardless of how we're showing up or what we're doing, these are things that we're always trying to keep intact as we're moving through the world in this human body. And we're hardwired to keep those intact. So what happens very often as we're showing up in our businesses is that part of us wants to put ourselves out there and be authentic and be seen and connect with other people. And part of us can recognize that in certain circumstances, there might be a danger there. Hi, Joanne, welcome.
Hey, Joanne.
So we're just talking about the three basic needs that we have as human beings: love, safety, and belonging, and taking a look at what's happening in ourselves as we're moving forward in our businesses. No worry about not being camera ready. I was not camera ready until 10 minutes ago myself. So the good news is that you're not alone. When you're having an experience in your business where you're not able to move forward, where there's something that you want to do and you either can't get yourself to do it, or you're doing it and it's not yielding the results that you wanted it to yield, it's okay. We're all having that experience at one time or other, and multiple times over the course of our lives. The thing that is happening is that there are different parts of our brain. There's the brain stem, the critter brain, if you will, that is responsible for making sure that we survive, for making sure that love, safety, and belonging stays intact. And then there's the cortex, which is the newest part of our brain to evolve. And that's the part of us that's the rational mind, the mind that's making meaning of things. It's the part of us that wants to explore and experience and connect and learn and share. So when these parts of our brain are on the same page, doing stuff is easy. Life feels easy. And when they're at odds, which often happens, that's when it feels really tough. So the limiting beliefs that we experience come from two places. Initially, as children, some of our programming gets installed between the ages of 0 and 5. And those beliefs are kind of like core limiting beliefs that affect us throughout our lives. So where you're seeing patterns that have evolved over time in your life from childhood on up to adulthood, those are usually associated with those really underlying subconscious, possibly, limiting beliefs. Some of you might be aware of what's going on for you in terms of your sense of limitation, and some of you might not, and that's okay. The other type of limiting belief is sort of like the inner critic, the thoughts that are sort of coming at you in the moment in whatever specific experience you're having. So when I'm talking about limiting thoughts and beliefs, those are what I'm really talking about. So there's a part of our brain that wants X, and there's a part of our brain that wants Y. And when they are at odds, we have a rubber band effect. So we move forward, and then the rubber band pulls us back. The critter brain says, oh, it's not safe to do that thing. And so we feel like this almost physical sometimes tug of war between what we're trying to accomplish and not being able to get traction doing it, because we are so hardwired and programmed to not die. And that's really, and yeah, you laugh and it's perfect. Yeah, I mean, it feels kind of absurd, right? Like, oh, sending that newsletter or putting myself out online is gonna kill me. But that's the way the critter brain works in the world. It doesn't know the difference between there's a bear about to attack you in the woods or, gee, somebody might see that Instagram post and might not like it or might have some response to it. Just pure visibility is threatening to the critter brain for a lot of us. And you're not alone in that. So how do we deal with all this stuff that's happening in our minds that's preventing us from getting the forward motion in our businesses? Really, I think the initial key is to understand that you are not your thoughts. So there is an operating system in place, and it's running, and it's doing its job. It's doing its job beautifully. It's working precisely as it's designed. And that operating system hasn't been updated in a really long time. So once you're aware that you are not your thoughts, that's when we have an opportunity to interrupt that cycle and come in and make some updates and some adjustments and some shifts so that all the parts of our brain can get on the same page, can be in alignment so that we feel like it is safe to move forward and be our authentic selves. When your critter brain is active, oh, there's something in the chat here. Hang on a second. It looks like it might be important. Oh, no, it's just the not camera ready thing. Sorry, my computer's a little on delay, I guess. So anyway, when those thoughts are active, when you're having the thoughts about, I'm a fraud, as Susan mentioned, wanting to have like the imposter syndrome or fraud syndrome discussed in the conversation. So when that thought comes up and other limiting beliefs like, oh, who am I to bring this forward? Or there are other people out there who are doing this that are better than me, or I don't know enough, or I can't possibly charge that, who would pay for that? All those things that come up are really just the critter brain trying to protect you. So where we're experiencing limiting beliefs as a problem, something that's keeping us from what we want, it's actually this beautiful solution that's been created for us that just sort of happens naturally. And although it doesn't feel good, there's a positive intention underlying those limiting beliefs. Does that make sense? Show of hands, yes? Show of hands, no? Okay, sounds like everybody's on the same page with that. Great, thank you. So, okay, now there is something popping up in the chat.
She said yes. You know what I'll do, JD, is I'll look at what the conversations are, and if it's something I need you to pay attention to, I'll interrupt you. Does that work?
Thank you. I'm like a crow.
It's hard to do both, so I'll let you know.
Okay.
Awesome.
So when when the critter brain is active, and we're having all of those thoughts, and we're having a physical reaction very often, right? Because the critter brain is also responsible for all of those physical sensations we experience, the anxiety, the stress, the tension, shallow breathing, rapid heart rate, sweating, all that stuff. The limbic system joins in, it piles on top and dials up all the emotions of fear and doubt and anxiety and overwhelm. That is not a place that we can get any traction. When we're mired in that, we don't have access to our resources. So what we want to do is step out of that cycle. And the best way that I know to do that is on the breath and through the body. Now, if you're having an experience in that limiting belief cycle where you're having a hard time really connecting with your breath, or it's feeling really shallow, what you can do is place your awareness in your hands, or place your awareness in your feet. And I invite you all to take a moment to just notice what happens for you when you do that. When you come in on the breath, or when you come in through your hands, or when you come in through your feet. What is probably happening for you all, and we can take a look at this in a minute if you have questions about it, is that all of the consciousness that's happening up here is moving down and you're getting reconnected to your body. And there are so many resources. There's so much wisdom available to you in your body. Your wisdom doesn't live up here. This is where lots of knowledge and skill exists and strategic application. We love our brains for all the positive things it does. But there's this whole body available to us that we're often not even connected to. So when we dive into that and we connect the two, then they can work together. So we come into the body either on the breath or in through our feet and hands. And then from that place, we're able to see that process that's happening in our heads from a little bit of a distance. We can recognize that we aren't our thoughts. There's a lot of thought happening and we're experiencing it and maybe expressing it, but it's not who we are. And so once we're aware of that, we can see that there's this literal critter happening. It's almost like there's a wild animal that's been cornered and it's feeling threatened. And if you've ever seen an animal that's in pain, I mean, I don't know about you, I'm an animal lover and my heart just, oh my God, my heart just opens up. If we can bring a little bit of compassion to what's happening for that old part of our brain that just doesn't know any better, and some appreciation for the fact that what it's doing is designed to protect us and keep us safe, that opens the door for us to work with it and for it to trust us and for us to really start looking at the belief process itself. And that's the final step, is to bring some curiosity to what's happening and some inquiry. So the 4-step process, I'm just going to walk you back through what we just walked through, because I know I did not present it at the beginning as a 4-step process, but it is. So when we notice that we're in the grip of a limiting belief, we step back, remember that we're not our thoughts. You might want to write it down on sticky notes wherever you can to remind yourself. You come into your body on either your breath, through your hands, or through your feet. Just take a minute to have that experience, to allow your consciousness to drop into your body from the head. And then we bring some compassion to what is actually happening inside of us in that moment. Knowing that our thoughts aren't us, but there's a part of us that feels threatened, that feels like it needs to circle the wagons and protect us. And once we're at that point, then we can show up being really curious about what's happening. What are we feeling threatened about? What is it about what we're engaging in that might be threatening our sense of love, safety, or belonging? What is the thought that we're thinking? All of our thoughts are the things that create our emotions. So if you can go back to right before you had the emotion and notice what was the thought that might have triggered that, then we can get really curious about the thought. So if we take Susan's thought, for example, I'm a fraud. What lets you know that? Is it true? Can you know it to be 100% true? What else might be true about it? Like really just kind of come at it from all the angles and just kind of start to unravel the edges and see like where is the veracity in that? And I've never met a thought that makes you feel like crap that's true. So that might be helpful to carry forward as well. So just to sum up so that we can have some time for questions, you are not broken. We are all having the same experience in our brains. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing to fix. It's just an operating system that is designed perfectly to protect you. Your body is your ally when your brain is losing itself. And compassion and curiosity are your most powerful tools to interrupt that cycle and those experiences and to work with those thoughts that are showing up as limitations for you. So that's my 10 years of coaching distilled into 10 minutes.
Wow.
And I would love to field any questions that are coming up for you right now.
I have some questions for you, JD, but I'd love if you would take just another minute or two to introduce what it is you do, your services, how you work with people, and kind of some of the results that people have had through working with you.
Sure. Well, as you can see, my field of expertise is really on what's happening in our internal world. I've been a coach for the past 10 years. I've been a body worker for 16 years. I have a really grounded experience in the mind-body connection and helping people reconnect to their bodies, to their inner wisdom, and to take a step back, get some distance from what's happening in their minds so that they can work with that, so that we can dissolve their limiting beliefs. Most of the people that I work with are women. Most of them are entrepreneurs or in some kind of big transition, either in their career or in their lives. Like some of them are empty nesters. Some of them are like looking to make a big move or change in their life, and they're just having a really hard time getting through that. And so my work is helping you guys do that in a way where you can show up being your full authentic selves and be different without having to remember to be different. Because the beauty of the coaching process is that we kind of get at all that underlying operating system stuff that's installed really early on. And once all those updates are made, then you don't run into these problems as much on a regular basis anymore. So I work with people in a couple of different ways. People are always asking me to do one-on-one, just like one-time coaching sessions. And I offer that in a breakthrough session in conjunction with tarot readings, because tarot is a love for me. It's something I've worked with my entire life, and I find it to be a really valuable tool to reconnect with intuition, to get a sense of what's really happening inside of us, sometimes when we don't even know. So I offer single sessions with tarot and coaching combined, and then I offer long-term coaching with people over the course of 90 days, and that looks like a 12-session series. And from time to time, I teach classes at She Breathes in Walpole, and in the upcoming 3 to 6 months, I will probably be offering some group coaching opportunities, some virtual class opportunities as well. But that's what I'm up to.
You can find more about JD on her website, jdstable.com. There's your commercial right there.
I put a lot on Instagram. I put a lot out
Yep.
in space, and my handle on Instagram is JD's Table as well.
Cool, cool. So, does anyone have any questions for JD? You can pop it in the chat if you can't talk here today. All right, I'm going to do it then. I'll ask. So my question, right, it's not so much that I'm a fraud, and maybe it's imposter syndrome, but maybe it's also, so many people, and it's, I think with everybody here, right? So many people doing similar work, but different. And I know that it's all about being authentic, but when there are so many things to do, how do you, and I get that, right? Like I think about it, I take the breath, and what do I do next? But my monkey brain, my critter brain is telling me, do this. Oh, wait, you forgot you have to do this before you do that. And then I'm doing all of these things at one time. So, and I end up in like a gridlock, feeling like I'm never going to get home. I'm just in traffic and I can't even like break through to get home. I don't know if that's something that you can address, or if anyone else feels like that ever, that there's so many things that I don't even know which one to do.
Yeah, so it sounds like what you're describing is overwhelm. Is that the experience of it for you?
Maybe it's overwhelm, but not in such a way that I have a physical response,
Okay.
but it's in such a way that I'm not moving forward.
Yeah. So gridlock.
Gridlock.
What does that feel like?
Confusion, and then I go to the beach.
And then what happens so you go to the beach, and then what happens?
And then I come home, make supper, watch the Red Sox. Like, it's like, I do get things done.
What happens to the gridlock when you go to the beach?
It's still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is your experience of it the same?
When I get back to it, yes. Yep.
Okay.
I think it's also that I'm in this program, right? So there's all these things, and there's no schedule. You just need to do. I'm trying to take my business to the next level, which I think is also the case for some of the people that are here. And it's just, what is the thing, like, how can you focus on one thing at a time?
Yeah. When there's a million.
And not compare yourself to all the other people that are doing it. I really wish I could stay off social media. If it were not my job, I would.
So those are two different issues, but they'll probably have a similar solution. So comparison is us putting our energy outside of ourselves. we're not focused on us. We're not focusing on what's happening in here. We're focusing out there. And then we're making meanings about who we are in conjunction to the other people and the observations that we're making about them that may or may not be true.
Mm-hmm.
So just bringing your attention and your awareness back to here, back to right now. When we go into the future, when we go into the past, when we go into the people around us, it brings us out of the present. It brings us out of where we are strongest and most grounded. You know exactly what the next thing is that you need to do. That wisdom is in here. It's not in here. So that whole process that I just walked you through, whether you're feeling overwhelmed or not, your experience is more gridlock and confusion. It's the same thing. Apply those same 4 steps and see what happens with that.
Awesome. Good stuff. Thank you, JD. That was very helpful. Does anyone else have any questions for JD or any questions? Yeah, go ahead.
My question is, so I get distracted with family issues. And I've learned not to multitask because it's impossible. And so I try not to do that. But when a task, family, takes you away from your focus and you try to get back, whether you breathe or try to get through the gridlock, how do you do that quickly? How do you make sure you don't then criticize yourself because, oh, I'm supposed to do this, but I have to change my focus? How do you jump out of that mess quick enough?
I love that question. Thank you. So you bring up a really good point. So not only do we have the experience of we're not able to move in the direction we want to because we're having the rubber band experience. As we're having it, then we heap on criticism. Then we heap on judgment. Then it's even harder to get out of that because we're so focused on, oh, it feels awful being me. Why can't I be different? Why can't I be better at this than I am? And that judgment is just not helpful. So in terms of doing it really quickly, it comes with practice.
Okay.
So as you're applying these steps, it might take a little time. But as you do it more and more, as you have the experience of being in your body and in the resource place more and more, it becomes easier. It becomes the place, you kind of hit a tipping point after a while, and it's different with every person. So I don't know how long it's going to take you or Susan or Stephanie or anybody else to get from where it takes some work to actually making it easy. But what happens is once you get used to being in the more grounded place, once you get used to being the witness that's seeing what's happening unfold, and you can kind of bring some lightness and compassion and inquiry to that, that place feels so good and so free and so spacious that we always want to be getting back to that. Like that's where we want to be. So right now you are used to being in the space where, oh, it's gridlock for Susan, or you're distracted with family and it's hard to break out of the judgment cycle and criticism with that. Because that's what those are the neural pathways that have been laid out as comfortable, even though they're not comfortable for you. They're safe. So what we're doing here with this 4-step process is creating a new way of being safe while accessing even more possibility, to stay in the place of focus for you. To let go of some of that judgment and criticism. And it will get easier over time the more you implement it. One thing I would recommend for any of you who are really committed to bringing more inquiry to what's happening and to really making it easier to do this quickly on the spot. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Byron Katie, but she's been in the personal development field, I think since the 80s. She's been around a while. And she has a very spiritual bent to her work, which I really resonate with, but it's not a specific like religious kind of thing. So I think it'll be compatible for pretty much anyone, no matter where you're coming from in terms of your spiritual leanings. But she has a really elegant inquiry process. It's just 4 simple questions, and then there's like a judge your neighbor worksheet, and it's just you take yourself through every single one of the questions again and again and again, and as you go through that process for yourself, kind of self-coaching, becomes easier. Those layers get let go, and more of who you are gets to just naturally shine forth. And her website is thework.com. And I recommend that for people who are really committed to stripping away all of those layers and really getting to the root of who you really are and coming home to yourself so you can shine authentically. You can work with a coach. I'm always happy to help people, but some people just kind of feel like I want to do it on my own time and my own way, and that's a great resource if that feels better for you.
That's such a great resource. Thank you, JD. And I would, so maybe you can pop into the Rise Above the Noise group and put those resources in there for me. And thank you so much for showing up, Joanne, Stephanie, Rachel, Jody. I'm so excited that you guys came here today. And I think that we're starting to build something really strong. And if you can lean into the group and share your experiences through the group and use it as sort of a virtual, I say sometimes virtual board of directors, but in this case, it's kind of more than that. But just a space now that we're learning these tips and week by week. So right now I have somebody scheduled every week, I think through October. Wow. Everybody's going to bring us a different skill set. Everybody's going to bring us a little tip. And if we get one tip every week by the end of December, man, we're going to be freaking awesome. So show up when you can, or show the recordings, send your questions in. And then I would love it if you would share whatever golden nuggets you get from the group or from our Q&A sessions on the Rise Above the Noise group, because I really want it to be a resource for people who are just swimming through and trying to figure out what's next for them. Thank you so much, JD.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. I wish we had more time together. But if anybody has questions after this, feel free to reach out on the group. I'll pop in. I'll post that resource for everybody else. But I'll also be available if you guys have questions after the fact. Okay.
Guys are awesome. Have a good day, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.